All right, so we have a question. Can you please repeat the part you mentioned about no gaps and no freelancing in your resume? Yes. Recruiters, HR personnel are very finicky, are very opinionated about what they like to see in resumes and what they don't like. And you're competing with a bunch of other people sending out their resume. So you want to have as few red flags as possible, so that and as many green flags as possible, and so that your resume doesn't get thrown in the trash. So a big thing that causes, it's not confusion itself, but it like makes the recruiter think. You don't want the recruiter to think. You want the recruiter to like look at your resume and go like, match, deal. Let's get him on the phone, right? Let's send him an email. You don't want the recruiter to be like, what does it mean? Why is this here, right? One of the things that makes them go like that make them go like, is having gaps in your work history. All right. Gaps in work history are common, but the fact that they're common doesn't make it acceptable. Well, I mean, doesn't make it that desirable. Doesn't make them desirable. People can explain the gaps away. People can, there's reasonable reasons. There's reasonable reasons why. Reasonable reasons. There gotta be another way to say that, but there's reasonable explanations why you would have some years without working. But in general, it looks bad. It raises questions, is what I'm trying to say. Having gaps on your resume raises questions that you then have to explain. It's a lot easier, and then you have to, if you have to explain it, you don't know if the explanation is going to land. You don't know if they're going to like it, if they're going to believe it. It's easier to just not have any gaps on the resume, and that's it. Okay, so that there's no questions, there's no recruiter going, right? They don't even have to think about it. No gaps, and so that's what we do when we optimize your resume. We stretch your working dates so that you don't have any gaps. The other stuff that you talked about, no freelancing. The reason is because employers want predictability. They want you to be boring, basically. They want you to have gone to school, graduated, started work immediately, and worked consistently for years without break, consistently doing the same thing over and over again. This goes for the gaps as well. Okay, so in employment, they want consistency. That's what they want. One of the main things, if not the main thing they want from you, is consistent. If you're like a super opinionated, like a rock star, that you just like do one thing and then like you take a sabbatical and then come back, and they don't like that, right? And so a lot of people cover gaps or with freelancing, which doesn't look good, because if you're freelancing, you're kind of like doing your own thing instead of being consistent and being an employee working for a reputable corporation, reputable employer. So it doesn't look good on resumes. It looks kind of like you were not doing much and you're just making stuff up and trying to cover the gaps. If you're going to cover the gaps, it makes no sense to say you were freelancing. It just makes more sense to just stretch the date or pass off your freelancing as if you were working for a particular employer. Okay. But in general, yeah, that's the reason. It's kind of like there are things. It's not like they're immediate disqualifications, right? But it's just like it raises an unnecessary questions. It's like, who cares that you had a couple gaps? Who cares that you were freelancing a little bit? Just don't talk about it. Don't say it. Like, make it seem as if you have a very consistent work history, and that's it. That's what they prefer. And so it'll raise less questions, like I've said, and so you'll have less explaining to do, more time to charm, wow, and shoot up to the top of the preferential candidates.